Roberta Black sat in her small office. The smell of cold coffee and her bulldog, Watson, filled the air. Watson was snoring loudly under the desk. Roberta leaned back in her chair. Her days as a police officer were long behind her, and her life as a private investigator wasn't as exciting as she hoped. Most of her cases involved cheating spouses or stolen items. The door creaked open, and a woman entered. She wore a fancy coat and carried an expensive bag, but her face was pale, and her eyes were red from crying. "Ms. Black," the woman asked in a shaky voice. "That's me," Roberta said, sitting up. "Come in. Ignore the mess." The woman hesitated but sat down. She clutched her handbag tightly. "My name is Eliza Harper," she said. "I need your help. My daughter, Molly, is missing." Roberta grabbed a notepad. "How long has she been gone?" 2 weeks, Eliza said, her voice breaking. "The police think she ran away, but I know something is wrong. She's not the type to just leave." "Do you have any idea where she might be?" Roberta asked. Eliza reached into her bag and pulled out a brochure. She placed it on the desk. Roberta picked it up. The cover showed a peaceful mountain with the words "The Pathway to Enlightenment." "Molly joined this group a few months ago," Eliza said. "At first, it seemed harmless. She said it was just yoga and meditation. But then she changed. She stopped talking to me and spent all her time with them." Roberta frowned. "A cult?" "They don't call themselves that," Eliza said, her voice bitter. "But I know they've taken her." Roberta nodded. She had dealt with groups like this before. "I'll take the case. I'll find Molly and bring her back." Eliza looked relieved. "Thank you. Please, don't let anything happen to her." "I won't," Roberta said, grabbing her coat. She whistled for Watson, who groaned but eventually got up. "Let's go, lazybones. We've got work to do." The Pathway's headquarters was a large white building on the edge of town. It looked peaceful, with well-kept gardens and a small fountain in front. Roberta walked up to the entrance with Watson trotting beside her. Inside, the air smelled like incense, and soft music played. A cheerful receptionist greeted her. "Welcome to the Pathway," they said. "How can we help you?" Roberta put on a fake smile. "I've been feeling lost lately. I heard this place could help me find peace." The receptionist beamed. "You've come to the right place. Father Ezra will be happy to meet you." Father Ezra was tall, with piercing eyes and a calm smile. He radiated confidence. Roberta introduced herself as Rachel, pretending to be someone curious about the group. "We are all seekers on a journey," Ezra said, his voice smooth. The pathway offers clarity and purpose. Here, you will find your true self. Roberta nodded, pretending to be impressed. She noticed how the other members looked at Ezra with awe, hanging on his every word. Later that evening, Roberta joined a group session. People sat in a circle, chanting softly. At the front of the room, she spotted Molly. The girl looked different from her photo, happier, but in a way that didn't feel natural. Her eyes were fixed on Ezra like he was her hero. Roberta frowned. This isn't going to be easy, she thought. Over the next few days, Roberta learned more about the pathway. She attended meetings, talked to members, and observed Ezra. He was charismatic, but there was something dark behind his charm. Roberta discovered that the pathway wasn't just about yoga and meditation. Members were encouraged to donate money, cut ties with their families, and dedicate their lives to the group. One evening, Roberta managed to sneak into Ezra's office. Watson waited outside, keeping watch. She rifled through papers until she found what she was looking for: financial records. They showed large sums of money being funneled into secret accounts. Roberta also found an old journal. It was filled with strange writings about an artifact, a golden box that Ezra claimed would bring ultimate enlightenment. Roberta smirked. So, he's not just a scam artist. He's a crazy scam artist. As she closed the journal, she heard footsteps. Quickly, she hid the papers and slipped out of the office. Roberta knew she needed to act fast. Ezra was planning a big ceremony, and Molly would be there. It was her best chance to rescue the girl. On the night of the ceremony, Roberta arrived at the Pathways building. She brought Watson with her, though the dog seemed more interested in sleeping. Inside, the main hall was packed with members. Candles lined the walls, and at the front of the room stood Father Ezra, holding the golden box. "This is the key to our enlightenment," Ezra proclaimed, his voice echoing through the room. Roberta stepped forward. "Or maybe it's just a fancy box." The crowd gasped, and Ezra's smile faded. "You don't belong here," he said coldly. Roberta held up the stolen financial records. "I know what you've been doing. You've been stealing from your followers and lying to them. This pathway is nothing but a scam." The room erupted into chaos. Some members defended Ezra, while others looked shocked and confused. Molly stood frozen. She looked at Ezra, then at Roberta. Slowly, she began to realize the truth. "Don't listen to her," Ezra shouted, but his voice cracked. His confidence was crumbling. Roberta walked toward Molly. "Your mom sent me," she said gently. "She's waiting for you." Tears filled Molly's eyes. She turned away from Ezra and ran out of the room. Outside, Eliza Harper was waiting. When she saw Molly, She ran to her and pulled her into a hug. "Molly," Eliza cried. "I was so worried about you." "I'm sorry, Mom," Molly said, her voice shaking. "I didn't see what was really happening." Roberta watched the reunion with a small smile. It was moments like this that made her job worthwhile. "What about Ezra?" Eliza asked. "Don't worry," Roberta said. "I sent the evidence to the police. They'll take care of him." Back in her office, Roberta sipped a fresh cup of coffee. Watson was snoring under the desk, as usual. "Eliza sent me a thank you card," Roberta said aloud. "Molly's doing better now." Watson didn't respond, but Roberta smiled anyway. "Another case solved," she said. "Not bad for a washed-up cop." She leaned back in her chair, feeling content. For once, the world seemed just a little bit brighter.